Welcome back, everyone. It's here. And today I've got some r/BestOf for you all. As per usual, I'll be reading you the posts, giving you my opinions, and I hope you do the same down in the comments below. And without further ado, let's jump right into it. Hey, real quick, by the way, GamerSupps is doing a 21% off for all partner codes, so if you want to get some GamerSupp for cheap, go use code KEYZ at checkout because the sale applies to all items site-wide, so definitely take advantage of that. Every purchase made using code KEYZ supports me directly, and I do mean directly. The sale starts February 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and is going all the way until February 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This post was collected by DreckCaterpillar77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. Original poster is Wood to the Face. Posted March 9th, 2018. Content warning for gaslighting and abuse. I, 27 female, think my boyfriend, 29 male, booby-trapped our apartment. I found something and don't know how to bring it up. My boyfriend Alex and I have been together for 2 years, living together for less than 6 months. I would say that we have a fairly average relationship. We make each other really happy most of the time, but we do have our ups and downs. I'm honestly so conflicted in writing this because I feel a little insane even thinking about the possibility of him trying to hurt me intentionally. We've been fighting a lot lately because of conflicting work schedules. I'm currently in my intern year of residency doing a night float month. So I'm at work from 5 p.m. to 8 a.m. roughly. He works during the daytime, regular hours as a CS engineer, and we haven't spent a lot of quality time together in several weeks because of the lack of overlap. I'm going to work just as he's getting home and vice versa. I have never had any issues with physical abuse from him. He has never raised his voice at me on more than one occasion, but he's always apologized, and it's been during very stressful times in our lives. His dad passed away last year, and our dog was killed in an accident on the street shortly thereafter. Recently, though, things have been happening in our apartment that makes me feel a little crazy. I've been getting hurt a lot, and Alex keeps reprimanding me that I need to be more careful and not to be so clumsy, but honestly, it feels like it's not me, but that things are being done or moved or placed. About 3 days ago, I came home from work and was preparing something to eat in the kitchen, right after he left for work and I was getting ready to sleep. I opened up one of our kitchen cupboards and the heavy door flew off one of the hinges and smacked me in the head. I have a huge goose egg and a giant bruise near my hairline, enough that several coworkers have asked me about what happened. I honestly think I had a very mild concussion from it based on the symptoms this week. But here's the thing, as I tried to put the door back together, I couldn't find the hinge or 3 screws anywhere afterward. They should have been on the floor or the counter, and they weren't. This morning when I got home from work and I was getting ready to go to bed, I opened up Alex's underwear drawer to get a pair of socks to wear to bed. And there were the screws, the hinge, and a screwdriver. Last week I got up in the middle of my sleep schedule to use the bathroom, and I slammed my shin into the edge of our bed. There's always enough room for me to shimmy by, but later on, when I looked at the bed and my leg, there were carpet marks, like the bed had been shifted about 12 inches towards the wall, making my space smaller. I honestly feel insane even thinking about bringing this up with him, but I don't know what to do. Too long didn't read, I feel like my apartment is booby-trapped, and maybe my boyfriend did it on purpose to hurt me, but I feel insane bringing it up. Top comments, Unicorn Sporked. Judging in my 10 years with a narcissistic psycho, you're not crazy. Start writing these incidents down, take pictures, etc. And keep it all logged somewhere he doesn't have access, your phone, in case it escalates. Having proof will mean a huge difference if you end up having to go to the cops. Black Rose responds to this comment. Also, taking picture records just for yourself will help you maintain your sanity. Upload them to a secure hidden cloud account your programmer boyfriend doesn't know about. Frankly, he sounds like a fucking psycho from what you've written here. I could never forgive someone for hurting me like that. Sure, he didn't punch you, but is it really that different? He wanted a giant heavy piece of wood to fall on your face. Sanguinar12 comments, there is no good reason for those hinges and screws to be in his underwear drawer, nor for moving the bed. Something is decidedly wrong here and it's time to pay attention. 2 incidents are bad enough. You don't want to suffer another. While he's not around, take advantage, search, examine those things you use often for signs like these. Find anything which confirms your suspicions and bail on this relationship. Update. March 18th, 2018, 9 days later. Hello all, I just wanted to start off by saying thank you to everyone who messaged me with advice and input about my last post found here. Like the title states, I suspect my boyfriend was booby-trapping our apartment for some unknown reason and gaslighting me, and I was right. 2 days after I posted, our shower head came loose and sprung off at me, smacked me in the back of the head, and due to the water pressure, I needed 18 stitches to close the wound. I texted my boyfriend about what happened and then I needed to go into work for stitches. I'm a resident. And he was way too nonchalant. He asked if I had bumped it or anything to cause it coming off. I'd had enough at that point. I wasn't going to ask him about the things that were happening. I was just gonna move out/on before I ended up dead. I made a plan that on Thursday I would have a friend come over as soon as Alex left the apartment to help me pack my things and leave. I was worried about any potential cameras he may have hidden, so I flipped the breaker and turned off the power in our apartment. About 3 hours into packing up, Alex came home. In the 6 months that we'd lived together, he has never once come home for lunch. So there must have been a camera planted somewhere with an external power source. He doesn't even pretend to waltz through the door. He bursts open and gets furious and asks what the fuck we're doing. Not sad, not confused, just straight up angry. That was the only sign that I needed. All I said was, I know about the cabinet, and the bed, and the dresser, you watching me, and my jewelry, and it's done. We're done. He responded with the standard, you're fucking insane, you're crazy, this is insane, etc., etc. This is the point where I'm thinking, am I going to end up on a Dateline NBC episode? I yelled to my friend in the next room that she needed to call the police to come supervise while we finished packing. Alex decided to take this moment to call the police and claim that I was insane in stealing things from our apartment. 2 uninformed officers rolled up within what seemed like only a minute and came upstairs. I explained that I was moving out and there was abuse. I wasn't interested in pressing charges, but they needed to supervise and file a report for documentation. I ended up finishing packing and then spending nearly an hour down at the police station hashing everything out with the officer who arrived first. I took personal leave from work for the second half of the week and tomorrow is my first day back. I'm staying with a friend right now until I move in with another resident near our hospital in about 2 weeks. Overall, I'm really relieved to be out of that situation, but I'm generally still pretty afraid of Alex and anything he might try to do in the future. Out of an abundance of caution, I took both my iPhone, iPad, and laptop to the Apple Store and had them do hard resets and wipes just in case he had planted anything. I'm not sure how I should be feeling right now, but I'm just going to say that for anyone out there questioning whether your situation is abusive or not, go with your gut and trust your friends and family. If it was maybe just the shower head or a few random things that just could actually happen and cause like some chaos and whatnot, I'd maybe think that this could be an overreaction, but the screwdriver and the hinge being in the underwear drawer, and additionally like the carpet marks from the bed being moved, and his nonchalant reaction to her needing 8 fucking stitches after the shower head popped off and hit her in the back of the head, like, that is definitely raised for a lot of concerns and alarms. The truth and the details are all with how he reacted to the situation, and they definitely paint a pretty negative situation that raises a lot of alarms. And yeah, there are guys that will do shit like this to either hurt their significant other or to make them more dependent on them. I mean, hell, there's an entire trend on TikTok where like husbands will go around unplugging shit around the house or flipping breakers or doing things to purposely sabotage their wives so that way they have to ask them for help and then, oh look at this, I magically fixed it for you, aren't I just the greatest? Like, this is a very specific subset of sabotage to like really get under your partner's skin and to cause problems. I'm not sure what the end motive could have possibly been from the boyfriend here, but it just seems weird. Like, what would the end motive actually be? Is he just sadistically wanting to cause harm and chaos? Or could there possibly be some kind of like ulterior motive or end goal with this here? I'd love to hear what you think. Another post collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, and their tagline is, of course, Satan is not a pogo stick. This post was posted by Theft Throwaway 2 on July 22nd, 2018. Someone stole from me, 24 female. How do I deal with the suspects? Brother, 27 male. Best friend, 24 female. Girlfriend, 23 female. Housemate, 28 male. and housemate's girlfriend, 21 female. Bear with me. It's a long one. My grandfather recently passed away and he left me and my brother a watch and a tin of cash each. We received about 750 euros each, and the watches are purely sentimental value. I was given the tin with the money on the Saturday afternoon, and was too busy to go to the bank to deposit it, and banks are closed Sunday. Between Saturday afternoon, the 14th, and Monday morning, the 16th, the cash and the tin were stolen. The tin was put in my bottom drawer on Sunday afternoon and was not there Monday morning. The issue is that there were a large number of people who had the opportunity to take that money, and I don't know who did it. Seeing as I don't want to drag everybody into the Jeremy Kyle show, I'm turning to Reddit for suggestions. How do I figure out who took this money? If I have to go to the police, I will, but I would really rather not, seeing as I have no evidence. The suspects are as follows. My brother, Michael, 27. He was at my house on the Saturday afternoon, as we'd both received our inheritance. We hung out for a bit talking about my granddad. He only had 5 minutes in my bedroom alone, but I can't remember if I saw the tin after he left. I was more interested in the watch, and it had been a long day. I don't think it'd be him, because he got his own money, but he does need money a lot more than me, as his girlfriend is pregnant. My best friend, Daniel, 24. He came over Sunday and had plenty of opportunity throughout the day. I told him about the money, but didn't tell him it was in my room. Daniel is wealthy as hell, and my 750 pounds would be petty cash to him. I can't see why he would steal from me, but he would have had the best opportunity. My girlfriend, Carrie, 23. She stayed over Saturday night and was super quick to leave Sunday morning. She's been acting a bit off at the moment, but she doesn't really get on with my housemate. I don't think she'd steal from me. I wouldn't be with her if I did, but we've only been seeing each other for a couple months. My housemate, Kane, 28. He wasn't in the house until Sunday evening, and his girlfriend was with him, and they both vouch for each other. Kane's a bit weird and has poor boundaries, especially with Carrie, and he's generally pretty honest. If I didn't think he was a safe person to be around, I wouldn't be living with him. Kane's girlfriend, Alessa, 21. I think it's her. I don't know her at all, but she really dislikes me and Carrie. But Kane swears up and down that he and Alessa were in each other's sight the whole time, and that she isn't a thief. Alessa is also super bad with money, so if she had an extra 750 pounds lying around, she would have had her nails done, and new clothing and things to show for it, which makes me think she might not have stolen it. Also, I have no idea how she would have known about the money or found it. I've spoken to each of the suspects. Michael and Daniel are outraged on my behalf, but have distanced themselves. Carrie is super worried that I think it was her and is pointing the finger at Kane and Alessa. Kane seems really confused by everything and won't comment, and Alessa has accused everybody except herself and Kane. She's even suggested that there was no money, and I'm just trying to cause drama. Since that Monday, it's been awful. Carrie doesn't want to see me, Daniel has been avoiding me, and Alessa has been really in my face and passive-aggressive about accusing her. Michael told me that it hurt him really badly to be accused of stealing from me. Are there any ideas or suggestions on how to figure this out before I get the police involved? And is there any point in involving the police? Relevant comments. Deleted user. So who on the list actually knew where you had the money hidden? OP responds, I'm not 100% sure. Michael was there when I put the money away. Carrie knows that's where I stash things for safekeeping, just in general. Daniel also knows my habit of using bottom drawers as a kind of deal with this later drawer, since we've been friends forever. I don't think Kane knows. He knew I had inherited some money from my granddad because me and Carrie were talking about my plans for the money, but he didn't know where it was. Alessa wouldn't know unless Kane told her. So Michael, Carrie, and Daniel definitely know. Kane might. Alessa most likely didn't. Lampshade00. So, your main suspects are Alessa and Carrie. Wait until you're alone with Alessa and Kane and tell them that you decided to give whoever it was a chance at redemption. If you find 750 anonymously sent to your account within 2 weeks, you'll consider everyone innocent and not notify the police. Then, wait until you're alone with Carrie. Tell her you decided to give whoever it was a chance at redemption. If you find $750 in a plain envelope in your mail within 2 weeks, you'll consider everyone innocent and not notify the police. Deleted commenter responds, "Ooh, this is some Game of Thrones shit. I love it." Funny enough, this is actually how I once approached handing out somewhat confidential video files for people to review back in 2023. If you're familiar about what was going on during that time, you might have an idea of what those video files were. But anyways, for each copy that I handed out, I had a part of the video that I purposely overexposed. Then, using color correction and color tint, I changed the perfect white color to an offset of white, or yellow, or blue, or red, just slightly different enough to where every copy that I had rendered out and sent to someone had its own unique signature based on a portion of the video that was overexposed. This way, if I found that video somehow floating around in hands that it should not be in, I would know exactly who leaked it. So it'll be interesting to find out what exactly happens moving forward with the story. Anyways, update. July 26th, 2018, 4 days later. First off, thank you for the suggestions. I went with the idea you/Lampshade00 offered. I took each person aside and told them that I was going to go to the police if the money wasn't returned. I told each person to put the money in a different spot. About £100 was returned to the spot I told Kane to use. Kane took me aside and asked me not to be too harsh on Alessa, as she's only young. I played along and agreed. Later, I sent Alessa a text and asked her if she knew that Kane was pinning the theft on her. She hit the roof. She came to the house and flipped out at Kane. Apparently, he told her that he'd seen Carrie taking it and that everybody else was gaining up and blaming her. Kane apparently enjoys being the puppet master. I could fill a book with all the lies he's been telling the lot of us. His cloud cuckoo lander behavior is more or less an act. The money was just sitting in his sock drawer. Alessa tore his room apart until she found the money, which she gave back to me. Kane just likes seeing people fight. I'm moving out of Kane's place and in with Daniel. Alessa has dumped Kane. I have my money back. Daniel was never that fazed, so he's forgiven me, but Michael is hurt, and Carrie is just relieved that I didn't really think it was her. Probably going to spend this money on fun stuff to do with Daniel, Carrie, and Michael to smooth over the justifiably hurt feelings incurred. I've unfortunately had my fair share of dealing with people like Kane. They'll tell small little white lies here and there, ones that are so small that there's no purpose or reason to even verify it, because why would you make that up? And they're always just little things here and there, little ways to drag you closer to them and make you trust them more, or just small little fables and tales and ways of manipulating the people around them. Eventually, this will culminate with everyone having a slightly different narrative or story that Kane's given them that they all believe to be gospel, but never double check with anyone around them, because why would you? Everyone seems on board, so yeah, this is definitely what's going on, right? Because your first thought isn't that your friend's trying to gaslight or manipulate you or pull your strings like a puppet. Like, it's just, why would my friend lie about this to me? So normally, they can get away with it for quite a while. Although one thing that I will say that I have noticed seems to be a very common factor is check for a villain of the week or month fiasco, where there's always someone new in the friend group that they're blaming their problems on. That suddenly they're responsible for all the turmoil in the friend group, and they're just this like weird mastermind who's making everything fall apart, and they shouldn't be allowed to hang out with us anymore. And there's always just some new reason or some new member of the friend group that just deserves all the scorn and all the isolation. Just keep an eye out for that. If one of your friends seems to have a brand new villain of the month, like just way too often, and there's always drama surrounding them, but they're always the perfect innocent little angel, keep an eye out for them. They're bad news. This post was collected by Direct Caterpillar 77, a 3-for-3 episode. And of course, their tagline is Satan is not a pogo stick. Originally posted by Cautious Public 6 on r/legal advice. November 2nd, 2018. Fired and denied prize after winning work costume contest. I work in a large office setting in Alabama. It's not a call center, but has a similar environment. Officially, there isn't a uniform and you can wear whatever as long as it isn't against the dress code. But several of my managers are religious and very southern judgy ladies who harass certain people in the office over the way they look, either with inappropriate, unwarranted compliments or overly judgmental comments. I'm a very tall guy who works out, and I've gotten both sides of it, the latter because I have very long hair and they call me a hippie. I know a lot of female coworkers who've gotten much worse because of very conservative clothing. And in the time that I've worked here, I've seen multiple complaints to the HR about comments made to them, which have ended in them being fired in the next week. Being harassed over clothing and body stuff is a topic among my coworkers, and it has made for a terrible office environment. On the Glassdoor for our company, 75% of the reviews specifically reference this aspect of working here. A few days prior to the 31st, I found out my work was doing a costume contest. I had a somewhat high-effort costume I was reusing from a comic convention, and I decided to wear it again, not really expecting to win. My workplace has over 100 employees, and the top prize for winning included $500 in cash and several gift cards. It is worth noting that the costume is not in any way sexual or inappropriate for work, or more specifically, from our dress code. If you're curious, the character I dressed up as was Ganta Gokuhara, and if you Google him, nothing is inappropriate about his design or against our dress code, save for being barefoot. And I broke character for that by wearing sandals. The most inappropriate thing I can think of is that there were fake bug toys in the bug box. Virtually no one in our office dressed up, which I wasn't expecting, but it made sense. It was me, one new girl who wore a kitty ear headband and a set of cheap fairy wings, and several of my female managers, all whom went all out. Everyone in my office has strong resentment for our managers for reasons mentioned above, and I ended up winning the vote because of it. The headband girl won second. I was told that I'd be sent my prize via direct deposit yesterday. I did not, and instead got an email explaining that I was being terminated for abuse of the office dress code. When I called my manager for clarification, she said that my costume clearly violated dress code. After I asked what rule it was that I broke, she told me I knew what it was and was hung up on. I'm young, and I've honestly never dealt with a level of blatant unprofessionalism in the workplace on this level before, and I really don't know what to do. Do I have rights on this? They can't seriously do that, right? Relevant comments. Marzi D. It is shitty and unfair, and unfortunately, shitty and unfair is legal. They can fire you for not following the dress code, and they can fire you for following the dress code. The $500 prize is yours, and they need to pay up. You should also be eligible for unemployment since this is not actually a for-cause termination as far as unemployment is concerned. Nuke Dom, responding. For reference, the character is a guy in a suit and tie. Half Awake responds to the response. At-will hiring standards mean you can be fired for any reason at all. Think of it like you're a kid visiting a friend. The friend's parents own their house and can send you home at any time for any reason. The only difference between this scenario and real life is that you do have a few protections in the workplace, based on protected categories. The way baseball go. Here's a representation of the character for all those interested. It's a character in a suit and a tie with long hair carrying a butterfly net, which OP may or may not have even had with the costume. Update, November 4th, 2018, 2 days later. Alabama. Well, my problem essentially ended up closing itself out within a day. Had initially planned on writing this last night, but got sucked into a web novel. Worm, really good stuff, which made me forget about it. A lot of people had questions about stuff, so to clarify, our office does have a defined and written dress code, but it is very lax, at least on paper. Things are specifically listed in what we can and cannot wear, and the latter category is made up of very few things, beyond sexually explicit stuff. As I said, I do not work in a call center, just a similar environment, specifically an audio transcriptionist service. We listen to audio calls and type them out, and we use foot pedals the entire time, where taking off your shoes at your desk is strongly encouraged to make it easy. Because of this, many people wear sandals regularly and no footwear is listed in the dress code at all. I did wear sandals as Ganta, but I always wore those at work. If you brought dress shoes or heels to my job and wore them, I actually think it would make it impossible, if not give you an injury. And my suit actually stood out quite a bit because basically, no guys dress that formally, ever. I did have the butterfly net, not a hammer as some people said, haha, Ganta's not that kind of guy, but one of my managers had a real looking chainsaw, so I don't think this is valid. I told them my name was Ganta and explained the character a bit, but don't think my managers or anyone looked it up and saw killing game, as several people had guessed. In the email ranking thing, I got listed as Happy Bug Scientist, so I severely doubt this is what happened. Very, very soon after my initial post, a friend I'd told about what happened had his father call me, a guy who owns a mid-sized business in another part of town. We spoke for a while about what happened and my prior experiences, and he ended up hiring me. It's a much nicer and considerably better well-paying job than my last one, and my bosses don't seem to be crazy, so I'm happy. Glassdoor reviews aren't scary either. I was still a bit salty over the $500, and I had planned on maybe finding out if there was a way to report them for holding a fraudulent contest or something, even if I had little recourse on the job. But one of my managers actually ended up passing away after a car accident Saturday, and another who was with her is in the hospital under critical condition, last I'm told, and has apparently suffered some brain damage. Obviously, I wasn't on good terms with them, but I didn't want that to happen. Pursuing the money at this point seems in bad taste, so I've decided to let it go. She wasn't nice to me, but hopefully my second manager ends up being as fine as she can be given the circumstances. Thank you again for the legal advice and empathy. Help me through this. Even if things just sort of ended up happening themselves. Workers' rights do seem to be pretty screwed up in this country though, haha. My guess would be his OP was definitely fired out of resentment because it sounds like the managers put so much effort into their costumes, and with it being an at-will state, they just went for the dress code and bada booey. No longer a problem, and he won't be a problem next year either. And, in hindsight being 2020, it does make sense why almost no one else dressed up except for OP and the new girl. Probably because this has happened in the past as well, where someone will dress up in the costume contest, win against the managers, and suddenly, they don't work at the company anymore. I would be actually shocked if this was not the case. Hey, welcome to the outro. Don't forget GamerSupps is doing 20% off for all partner codes, so if you use code OZ at checkout, you get 21% off. And yes, it does directly support me. I really do mean that. Again, the sale is going on until February 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all the way to February 28th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And of course, not to mention, GamerSupps has more than just caffeine products. They have caffeine-free, they actually have ramen noodles, they have mouse pads, posters, t-shirts, their t-shirts are actually really comfortable, and just a lot of really cool stuff. Plus non-waifu stuff as well if you don't want to be wearing a degenerate shirt around, so there is that as well. They've actually got some really cool non-anime girl designs that I'm actually a really big fan of. So again, if you want to take advantage of the 21% off and get yourself a nice comfy shirt, this is like the perfect time to do it. Use code OZ at checkout because again, it does directly support me.